We had a studio. This now neither one of us. I think maybe I was teaching. I think I was teaching at the time.
You was teaching the Holy Redeemer.
At Holy Redeemer Christian Academy, and he was playing at church.
Yep.
Right.
Playing at Greater New Birth.
Greater New Birth. So we were in the studio. We had an apartment, right? We knew we had a studio, but we had an apartment, and that apartment was the studio. It was on Servite. Y'all know Servite? I think it's Village or something like that. We had a 2-bedroom apartment in Servite. And what was hilarious to me was we thought we had a studio.
For real.
Like you couldn't tell us we didn't have a big boy studio till we went to a big boy studio.
And got fixed.
And was like, yo, what was we doing? We had a computer and everything. So we're in the studio working on the track or something. Shonn phone ring. And Shonn, I'm going to let you take it from there. What happened?
So my boy Rex Hardy, he's a drummer from Chicago. He had called me. He was like, hey, man, I got a gig. He said, only thing is you leave on Monday. It was Saturday when I got the phone call. And I'm thinking I was getting ready to go out with like a gospel artist because that was it for me. Like I didn't think it was obtainable to play for secular artists. And when he told me who it was, I lost it. It was Dave Hollister. And at the time, I was a medical records clerk at Columbia Family Care Center. So when I got that phone call, I called my boss and told her, because she knew what I wanted to do for a living. And I told her, I said, well, my time has come. I can't put in 2 weeks. I quit right now. And I have not looked back since.
Yeah. Show some love for that, man, because that takes courage right there, right? That takes extreme courage. And one thing about it is, a lot of times we don't like to take risks because we're scared of what might not happen instead of what might happen. Now, had Shonn not had the courage to leave his job, he wouldn't have traveled. I don't know, how many countries do you think you've touched, Shonn? Roughly.
About 30.
30 countries.
Like I put it this way, I'm on my second passport right now.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, had he not left his job, he may have touched a couple. You know how you go on vacation. Who all go on vacation in different countries, right? That's their.
That's a day at the office for me. Going to Paris, going to London, going to Germany. I'm going to work.
Right. So what I want us to understand is you got to take that risk. How many? Okay, let me ask you. How many of y'all got Facebook in here? Anybody? Okay, so do me a favor. I want you to go to the search. Go to your search right quick. If you got a phone on you, go to search because I want people who are not here that want to be here. And thank you for many of y'all that came too, by the way. I need y'all to go in your search, type in Radio Milwaukee, and you'll see like the Radio Milwaukee with orange writing. Y'all see that? Everybody see that? Go to that page. Because we are live, ladies and gentlemen. So when you go to that page, I want you to scroll. Y'all see me on there right now? Okay. Share that for me on y'all page. You can take it down after this. But I want your network to see this because if you're here, you're tied into a network of musicians and songwriters or managers or A&Rs that's tied to you. Share that for me so that we could make sure they get this information because if we were charging $100 for this information, $1,000 for this information, everybody would want it. Y'all know how it go, right? It's some jeans, they cost $2,000. Everybody gotta have them. But then you get it's a library card, it's free. How many people you know got one? Nobody. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely have a library card.
You get what I'm saying? So share that. Thank y'all. So look, let's take it back, Shonn. Okay. You started off, little youngster, and I remember you. I didn't remember Shonn as a guitar player. I remember Shonn as a drummer.
Absolutely.
So talk to us, take us from your drummer days to your guitar days, and then we're going to talk about you as a producer.
Got it. So I think for every African-American kid, if you're off into instruments, your first instrument is more than likely going to be drums. That's what it was for me. I grew up in a family of musicians. My grandfather was a pastor and bishop. My mother was the pianist. And me and the host of my cousins, we played drums. Well, my oldest cousin, who's the bass player for Eric Benet now, he stopped playing drums and learned how to play the bass. So I was the lead drummer in charge. And my two younger cousins wanted to learn how to play too. So I was like, I'm tired of sharing the drums. I got tired of sharing the drums with my cousins, so I wanted to learn how to play the guitar. So I went to Rockford because I was born in Rockford, Illinois. My birth father gave me my first guitar, but my grandfather showed me my first 3 chords. And after that, I was hooked. So I suffered for my craft. I say this a lot, and people be like, what do you mean when you suffer for your craft? Because at the time, I was listening to Hot 102 radio
I
station.
remember that. Yeah.
And I would close my bedroom door at night and sit on the edge of my bed and practice what I heard on the radio. And my mother would tell me bedtime is at 8:30. Well, I'm up way past 8:30, learning how to play the guitar. My mother would catch me, and I would get a whooping every time. So if my mother was here right now, she'd tell you, yeah, he suffered for his craft. I really did. I started playing the guitar at the age of 12. My cousins and I had a quartet gospel group called the Young Gospel Travelers. I really started, deepening my love for being a guitarist. So I started listening to cats like Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix, B.B. King, Freddie King, Slash from Guns N' Roses, Phil Collins from Def Leppard. And it just was like a rabbit hole. I'm exploring and learning about different guitars. And before I knew it, I was a professional guitarist playing around here in the city. I serviced churches like Greater New Birth. I played for Holy Recovery, played at Holy Redeemer. I'm currently now over 10 years at Christian Faith Fellowship Church, but I also service bands, groups, Growing Nation. I sat in. I was with Cigarette Break, which was with the group Black Elephant. Wow, I want to say I played with Jersey Ave a few times.
Yeah.
I did that.
Lattimore Brothers.
The Lattimore Brothers.
Jersey, yeah.
As a matter of fact, me and Chad go so far back, he was in a band called New Creation.
Yeah.
And I played guitar with New Creation.
Yeah.
So it opened up a door for me to do what it is that I'm doing now. And again, I didn't think it was attainable to do. So I'm working with Chad in the studio. I was one of his first producers for Big Sound. Yeah. And I got the phone call because Summerfest 2002, I met Rex and Nissan Stewart, who was one of Puffy's hitmen as his, producer. And we all had hit it off, and I was trying to make a name for myself in Chicago. And that's when Rex, who's from Chicago, plugged me with the Dave Hollister gig, which was a snowball effect. So from Dave Hollister, I did Kelly Price. We did 106 in Park. We were the first live band to play 106 in Park. From Kelly Price, I did Glenn Lewis. From Glenn Lewis, I went back to Kelly Price. I worked with Tyler Perry. He wrote a play for Kelly Price called Why Did I Get Married, which is a movie now. So I was the first guitarist to do that play with Tyler Perry. I ventured off, did 112. I played for Jagged Edge. And then everything came to a screeching halt. And I was back at home playing at church. And then in the studio with Chad, and that's when I get the phone call for the Dave Hollister gig. Right? I think I'm up to speed now. Yep. No. Then I get the phone call from Rex again saying, like, yo, Mary J. Blige is getting rid of her old band, and she's hiring a new band. And she's never really had a guitarist before, so you about to get a phone call from this dude called Huggy. Huggy calls me, said, yo, Mary's putting a brand new band together. Rehearsals are in New York, so it really wasn't. It was an audition, but not really an audition because this is what it was. So I get to New York. Mary and her husband at the time was there. We ran like maybe 5 songs. Mary asked, like, you want the gig? And I was like, absolutely. And that's when everything started taking effect for me. So from Mary, then I did Angie Stone. From Angie Stone, I did John Legend. I did Jill Scott. I did Jay-Z. I did Lil Wayne. And I'm back with Mary.
That's what's up. Now, it's one he forgot because I remember I went to to rehearsal with him. We had so much fun. Avant.
Avant. I forgot about Avant.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes, sir.
I went to rehearsal with Avant. He was on tour with somebody. But so now you doing your thing on the road. Now watch how this works. The reason why I had him explain that for a reason. So he did all those different artists, and at the time we were trying to come up as producers and writers and things of that nature. So as Shonn progresses, you forgot John Legend too, by the way. I don't know how you.
I'm sorry,
forgot
John Legend, because you came to the show when I did with John.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, as a guitarist, when you're on the road, you got ample time because you drive. When you're on tour, you ride on the bus, you making beats on the bus, you doing all type of stuff. And I think Shonn was on a tour with Lil Wayne, and they had downtime, and he called me, and he kicking it. He like, yo, and I hear him saying, yo, Drake, this, not like just kicking it, like regular kicking it. He's telling me, he's like, big bro, when I come home, we gotta do some tracks for this artist Wayne got, young dude from Toronto that Wayne got.
Yes,
He
sir.
the next big thing. Now, mind you, this nobody know who he is at this point. And he like, bro, he was just playing me some stuff he did with Trey Songz. It's crazy. Like, bro, we got to do some work, whatever. And I'm like, all right, cool, it's whatever. Let's set it up, whatever. Whole time you on tour with Drake, who is the biggest artist in the world right now.
Drake, Nicki Minaj. It was the whole Young Money crew. And what was so dope about that tour that I did with Wayne, because it was at the time it was called the I Am Music Tour. So it was Wayne, Young Money, Gym Class Heroes, Gorilla Zoe, Carrie Hilson, and Keisha Cole. I got a chance to hang out with Wayne because Wayne likes to play the guitar.
Right.
So I'm on Wayne's tour bus with him sometimes, and he had a music studio on his tour bus.
Right.
So when we were out on that tour, I'm trying to remember what year. Whatever year October's Very Own came out, I was around while they was working on that album. And that's when I called, see my brother, I was like, yo, we need to get on this. We need to get on Drake stuff. We need to get on Nicki Minaj stuff. Like, I was amped. I was ready to come home and work.
Right. And mind you, obviously our production skills weren't up to par for like a T- in them. So obviously we didn't make the project, as y'all can tell.
Exactly.
But the thing was, we at least had opportunity to make the project. Now, because we weren't on point with that, as far as production level, we had the opportunity to make that happen. So one thing about opportunities, my brother Will Roundtree said, people are poor for a reason. Because what poor stands for is passing opportunities repeatedly. Passing up opportunities repeatedly, which means you continue to get opportunity, and you keep passing them up. You're not taking advantage of the opportunities. It's like it's passing over opportunities repeatedly. That's what it is. Passing over opportunities repeatedly. So to me, that was us not really getting what we thought we would get, but we didn't pass the opportunity up. So what it did was it allowed us to sharpen our tool. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's passing over opportunities repeatedly.
And some people will look at that situation or the rejection as a loss. But I learned later on in life, it's never a loss, it's a lesson.
Right.
Like, that's all it was for me. So whenever I didn't get an opportunity to get a record on somebody, like the time we were in L.A., and we were working with Mary.
With Mary, yeah.
Mary was in the studio with us. We cut the record with her.
Everything, yeah.
But it ended up not making an album, but it didn't discourage me. Like, we had people that still poured into us because they saw potential, they saw promise. You just got to stay the course.
Absolutely.
And that's what we did.
And I agree. So how many writers we got in the building?
Word.
Okay. How many producers we got in the building?
Absolutely.
See what I'm saying? That's beautiful. So we got writers and producers in the building. So the business of production. Let's go into the business of production. Okay. And then we're gonna tackle the writing side. The business of production. As a producer, what are some of the key elements that you make sure that you have when you start in your production?
For me, as a musician, my desire and my goal is to be self-contained. Mm-hmm. So for me, with production, just knowing how to play as much as you possibly can before you start outsourcing. Because you don't know if the record's going to get placed, and you're just building at this point in time. So for me, just knowing how to play everything. I know how to play almost everything. I can play the keyboard, I can play the guitar, I can play the bass, I can play the drums, I can program drums, all that good stuff. So that's one important key element.
And the key reason why I say that's a key element is because when you're co-producing with people, when it's time to handle business, you don't know how they're going to react.
Exactly.
Because people start counting money in their mind because of who the artist is. A lot of times, if you don't have a single, you're going to make money, but it's not what you think it's going to be. You know, especially now with streaming. It used to be nice for us back in the day.
Yeah.
But streaming changes everything. So people will casually forget what the discussion was in the studio when you're co-producing with people. So I know this sounds crazy. I would make sure we get all agreements, all splits taken care of that
Up
same
front.
Yeah. Because you don't want to wait till it's time for the song to get placed, and then you arguing over.
And then it get weird.
Yeah, it get messed up. So if I did drum programming and he did all the keyboard, the bass line, all that type of stuff, I would say let's just bust it in half right there on the spot. Let's do 25, 25. You know what I'm saying? Because you get 50% of the song.
And that's was one of the biggest things that I learned from working with you. Like even with now, I just dropped the album on Valentine's Day, and working on this album, I had a lot of guest stars on it. And the thing that I was able to do, because I learned this from Chad, me and Chad would work together, and I would have to call somebody in to play something. I would call my cousin Afton. I would call my little bro Alex, Ace Boogie on bass, and Chad would say, well, if you ain't got no money to give him, set him up for success. Give him some publishing, give him some writing.
Right.
And that's how I move now. Like when I'm working with somebody, if I know I ain't got no bread, even if I did have bread, I still wouldn't give them an opportunity. Like I'm thinking about your kids' kids.
Right.
That's how you set people up for success. And I learned that from you.
Right, and to me, when you do it that way, it's easy to get collaborators when you do it that way. You understand what I'm saying? So make sure you're sharing in the wealth is what I like to call it.
There it is.
Because it's extremely important. But make sure you get the business done out the gate. You don't want to wait until the song is placed to try to handle business. Because people will casually forget what you guys talked about in the studio that day. And at this point, if you ain't got it on video, it's your word against theirs. So now, you better get this placement on whoever, Drake, let's just say. You better get this placement on Drake. Now they don't want the song because the business ain't right. Because if the business on one song isn't right, I was a part of an album, the Backstreet Boys. Me and Shay, I see Shay back there, and TC, we did a song with the Backstreet Boys, and it came out on that album. Our stuff was straight. We knew who was getting what percentages and whatnot. But there was a discrepancy with T-Pain and somebody on this same album. And we didn't get paid. Let's say, I'm using the wrong year, but let's say if it was the year 2000. We didn't get royalty checks until 2005 because until their dispute is done, nobody on the album get paid. So you don't want to be the hang-up because everybody, just like I knew who it was right now, everybody else, it may not, I think it was T-Pain. I don't want to put him out there, but it was somebody in that era, somebody that was big. It wasn't like us as like newer writers.
Right.
And until that dispute is done, nobody on the album get paid. Same thing happened. I remember Teddy Riley talking about it happened to him, but guess what album happened to him on? The Michael Jackson album. You know how much money was just sitting there? Could you imagine being on Michael Jackson album and waiting on your check? You going crazy because you know you about to get paid something ridiculous. And remember, Teddy Riley did Remember the Time. So he didn't do like just the album cuts. He did like the main joint where they stopped television to do a premiere of this song. Magic Johnson in the video. Everybody was in that video. Eddie Murphy, right?
It was directed by John Singleton.
John Singleton, right. Yeah. So think about that. And you got a song on this album because somebody didn't handle their business. You know how long it took him to get paid from the album? Nearly 20 years. Can you imagine? Now, mind you, when 20 years come, you acting the fool.
You sitting
on you said you got M's. But can you imagine knowing you got millions sitting and you can't do nothing about it to a discrepancy that has nothing to do with you is cleared up? So I'm telling you this so you do not be the hang-up of anybody's project, of people getting paid. Because what it will do is, that's going to get spread around, and people will not work with you because of that. Which rightfully so. I wouldn't want to work with you if I was on the album either. You know what I'm saying?
If you being shady.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so make sure you handle your business up front, because that's the last thing you want to do is get your first, second, or 10th placement, and you're the hang-up of the entire project. Now, it's probably a little different now because streaming, so they just put the singles out one by one or whatever, so it's a different ball game. But I had to give y'all that information because we were out. I actually was a part of something like that happened. Now, it wasn't Michael Jackson. Backstreet Boys still paid good, though. So the Backstreet Boys sold 300 million records. So it was still some great money, especially over the overseas portion of it. So you don't want to, you get nothing from international, they call it, or domestic until that is clear. So that's key, so make sure you handle your business. So now, Shonn,
Yeah.
once you get into the business side of, because what I'm going to do is I'll allow you guys to ask questions as well. Once you get past the business side of production, how do you choose when to collaborate and who to collaborate with?
Of course, you call it big guns when it's a big record, right? That's for me. So when I know we got a budget to work with, that's when I'm like, okay, who do I want to work with on this album? Like, ooh, I love to work with Robert Glasper. So we gonna reach out to Robert Glasper. You know, so you call it big guns in when you get that, you know, that opportunity to get that placement. Because a lot of the times you do a record and it's still kind of like the bones of the record. So
Right.
it's still bells and whistles that you gotta have. So that's when you start reaching out to people that you know that's good at what they do. Sometimes you'll call the homie from around the way who's good at playing keys, or you call somebody like Robert Glasper, or you call somebody like my good friend Omar Edwards, who's the musical director for Jay-Z and Beyonce. Like, you call cats like that.
Right. Now, to my songwriters, this for you. This part is for you guys. As a producer, because every producer looks at something different. Every time we got several producers coming this season, and every producer looks at it differently when they select which writers to work with. And when I'm speaking of which writers to work with, you know there's a project that you get ready to work on. Like I remember we were in Miami, and you were working with Bam.
Yep.
On some projects.
Yep.
I don't know if it was Tyrese or somebody. But it was you guys as producers, then it was a group of writers there as well at this writing camp. So how do you choose which writers as a producer that you want to work with? What attributes do you look at in writers?
Chorus, hooks. Mm-hmm. Like if you can that's the big thing that I look for, because I learned that earlier on as a songwriter and a producer. Like, that's what sells the record, the hook. Like, you want people to sing that hook when it's done. So if the writer, if they like that hook, they got that hook, that's hook, line, and sinker, that's it. That's what I look for, who can write a good hook. Because the verses are easy after you write the hook.
Because you got the concept.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That makes sense. And melodic structure is important as well. Absolutely. I know he's saying who can write a hook. That's a fact. But it's about melodic structure, making sure the melodies that you have, I think I heard Rico say this, each part of the song should feel like a hook. That's what Rico's, I've worked with Rico for maybe 15, 20 years now. And he fit the way to win, he says, is to make sure each melody in the verse, the pre-chorus, the chorus, or the bridge feels like a hook as well. Now it's easier. Because back when we was doing music, the songs would be like 4 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I looked at a record the other day. It was like, and the guy did the verse twice, same verse twice. The song was like 2 minutes and 15 or 20 seconds. And then there's no such thing as bridges anymore.
No more.
You don't even hear those. And then they'll repeat the verse after the hook again. So they really write one verse and a hook. So you want to make sure, like, I think that was a little Uzi's song.
That song, I want to.
Yeah, that song right there. If you listen to the song, listen to the. I think the same verse come back to back.
Exactly. It's real quick to the point.
Right. So, but that's because each part of the song feel like a hook. If you didn't do that long damn part, you wouldn't know which part of the song was what. You know what I'm saying? So that's his transition. But The goal is to make it hooky throughout the whole record.
And that makes sense because think about it. If you at a record store, I mean, not that they have a lot of them anymore.
Right, right.
If you talk to them like, "What's that song?" and you can hum. If you can hum something,
The melody.
from the exactly.
Or the hook,
So
yeah.
if all of them sound like, if every section of the song sounds like a hook, somebody can pick up on it and tell you, "Oh yeah, that's a Lil Uzi Vert song." Like, yeah.
Right. So that's the key to make sure, writers, that you're able to make your melodics hooky the entire song. That's a key. And then make sure you got your business taken care of too as writers, because we like to dwell on producers, because a lot of times the writers don't get
They don't
production
get
fees.
yeah.
So talk about that.
And sometimes they don't get upfront money. The only person I heard, only writer I heard getting upfront money was Neo. Neo was charging, 30 bands just to, just for him to be in there, right?
There are a lot of basically, if you're an A-list writer,
You can get that, but if you're not no A-list writer, writers ain't getting upfront. They not getting upfront money. They not, you just catching writers and publishing, right? That's
Exactly.
it.
so as a writer, if I'm coming in a session with a producer, I'm already negotiating my writer's fee with the producer. You want to know why? Because he gets a production fee. So what I'm doing is saying, look, I like to get $2,500 to write a song. If Shonn's production fee is $15,000, when it's time to go to the label and we place the record, he controls what the amount is. So he tells the label $17,500 for this record. So he get his $15,000 and I get my $2,500. You see what I'm saying? So you got to make sure as a writer you handle your business out the gate with whoever you're collaborating with. And especially if you just writing, if you're not co-producing, you want to make sure you have that understanding, because 9 times out of 10, producers will not pay you out of the fee because they just charge their fee. So they didn't add your fee into the fee. You understand what I'm saying? So if I charge $10,000 a track and you don't tell me what your fee is and I charge $10,000, don't be like, oh, well, my $2,000 or my $1,500. Like, man, you should have told me that before, so I could have charged the label $12,000. That way I have room to pay you. You understand what I'm saying? Because you as a writer, you don't recoup the cost. You know what I'm saying? Because you didn't get an advance. A production fee is an advance, and it is recoupable, which means until that album recoups all the funds that it was spent to make that album, nobody gets paid. Once it goes $1 over, then people start getting paid. So that means everybody's production fees on the album has to be recouped before you start seeing revenue as a writer. You understand what I'm saying? Not your publishing, but off of the mechanical, off of the sales, all right? But if you don't have the single, the only way you're making money is off the sales or the streams. You get what I'm saying? So you want to negotiate with your producer that you're working with what your fees are out the gate. So if it never recoups, you made something. You get what I'm saying? Y'all feel me on that one? So make sure you handle the business right out the gate in the very beginning. That's extremely important.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then, Shonn, so you transition from being a producer and a live guitarist to being able to run shows like you MD and Mary right now. So let's talk the vein of live production.
Okay, live production. This one is very simple. It's almost comparable to being in the studio.
He's saying it's simple, y'all, because he's done it before. Not to cut you off. He's saying it's simple because he's done it before. But there was time when he was first starting and he had to learn the ropes. So let's talk about it if somebody's never done it before. You did it for 20 years, so yeah. Okay. But let's go from the beginning, how you worked into that.
Sitting under a lot of musical directors. Adam Blackstone, if y'all know who Adam Blackstone, he's also, he was the musical director for the Super Bowl performance that Dr. Dre and Mary J and Eminem and Kendrick did. But sitting under cats like that and learning that there are parts to a song that makes a song a song. I'll give you an example. One of my favorite songs to listen to is Through the Fire by Shaka Khan. That guitar solo stands out to me. I can remember exactly where I was when I first heard that song. So when I play that song, whether it's with Shaka Khan or if I'm covering it with somebody, I'm going to nail that guitar solo exactly like the solo was did on the album. That's a part. So you have to come into the situation with that headset, like, okay, I'm listening to this record, and I want to make sure that how we put this show together for a tour or a live performance. I want you to be able to hear exactly what it was you heard on the radio, or when you streamed the record, or when you downloaded the album. So you study the record, you study it, listen for the intricate pieces in the record. What is the drums doing? Example, Biggie's One More Chance. My wife is irritated with me because I can sit in the car and tell you, I can mimic everything on that record. So when I start producing and I want to do something similar to that Biggie record, I can hear that shaker that go, like, that's a part right there. So come in with that mind frame of just knowing the record, wanting to know the record, wanting to understand the record. So when you put the show together, when the concert goer is sitting down in the front and they're hearing it, everything sounds exactly the way that it sounded when they was listening to it in their car.
Absolutely. Now, break down the pieces of the record, because they're like in a band. You have the drummer,
You have
the guitar.
drums, you have bass, you have guitar, you have 3 keyboard players, one that plays specials.
And specials are
Specials are like, let me see, I call it bells and whistles, but just like little subtle nuances that stands out. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to think of an example.
Song, yeah.
A song. Drake's "Baby, You're My Everything." Na, 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 na. That piano, dang, 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 dang. Like that's a special. You know what I'm saying? So it's aside from what the foundation is playing, but it's just one of those. It's one of those parts that stand out. And if you went to the concert and you didn't hear it, you'd be like, my man ain't playing that record right.
You're right.
Like that. So you got a foundation, and a foundation keyboard player is a person that plays the melody, but he's chording with the melody. You know what I'm saying? So it's the I'm trying to figure out a good way to describe it, but it's basically something that's familiar, and it kind of helps bring everything else together. It helps to bring the bass together to the song, the guitar to the song, the drum to the song. Just
So on "Be Happy," Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
What's the melody?
ting, I can do it on my guitar. Matter of fact,
Show it to me, my good brother.
you hold,
Yeah, I got you. Foundation. Okay.
That's one part. My part is those are 2 different parts that I played. And that's what it's about. This knowing to keep the foundation player know how to he plays that part, and I play my part, and that's what makes the record come together.
Makes
For a
sense.
live, whether you in the studio or whether you playing it live.
Got you. That makes sense. All right. So now, let's keep since you play for Mary, we can
Yeah.
stay there. So, give me one of the songs you guys may do on tour. Show us what a special is on. Now, obviously, you're not playing the keyboard. You're playing the guitar version.
Yeah.
But so like, let's say what's the song y'all doing?
Let me see.
Pick something that everybody know.
Y'all know Mary's "Take Me As I Am." Y'all heard that song? So take me. So. Woo, sorry.
Like, you getting your tune on? Okay, go ahead.
So it's so a special would be. So that specials would be strings. So the keyboard player will play the string part while foundation and guitar, which is myself, will be playing.
As I am.
So the specials will be playing the melody.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, got you. Got you. So we got the specials, we got the main foundation, and then I saw a part. Let's what's a main Mary song? The all I really want is to be happy. I'm probably in the wrong key, but so let's use that song as an example. Your foundation is.
And then specials playing specialists is and that's all the special player is playing. He ain't playing nothing extra. It's in the record, so you want to make sure you nailing that. Foundation is, and I'm playing a lower octave, but the keyboard player, the specialist player, is playing an octave higher. And I'm playing, and when you put it all together, it sounds amazing. I actually got it.
Let's Chris, pull me up something
And
over
I'll
there.
play it. I'll play it.
He can show you what we talking about. So that you can take it from the. I think the first song is.
Yes, no, it's the last song of that medley. So the first song is Real Love.
Let's go there.
Okay,
let's
let's
go
go
to
Real
Real
Love.
Yep. The very top of it. The very top of the whole thing. Yep. Now give me some volume, please.
So that's specials. Foundation is. I'm going. Specials is. So that's my part. It's a whole song until we get to the bridge. This is the remix to Love No Limit. So that's the bass that you're hearing. You'll hear when the specials come in, because he'll play. So that's bass and drums. Hear the specials and then me. And that's it, the whole thing. It's
So
just
now
all parts.
it seems like it's a whole bunch of going on. That's because everybody else is playing the other part. But you still feel the record. And then obviously you got Mary singing too. So most people focus on her. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, yeah.
So that
And she focused on the music though, just making sure that record is being played right.
exactly. So make sure, and this is for even when you're the writer of the song or the producer of the song. When an artist performs your song, you want it to sound like the song y'all written and produced. You know what I'm saying? So the key is to make sure you understand what parts are when you're writing the song. Because how we used to do it, when we would write a song, we would try to think about what it sounded like if the artist was performing.
Exactly, yeah.
So that you got to make sure if you're on the production side or the writer side, because the writer side is important because the harmony, well, they don't do harmony much anymore, but even those parts are special parts of the song when you're writing a record. Like I remember as a vocal producer, a trick I would do, if I felt like a lyric wasn't as strong as the lyrics prior to it, I would put harmony right there. We would call harmony ear candy. So we would make it sound good, because the lyric wasn't as strong as the lyrics that came before. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
That was like a cheat code that we used to use. Me, Shay, Rico, all of when we would do that, we would just throw. People like, why would you do this there? Well, obviously the chord progression would have to work, but what we would do as writers and vocal producers is we would make sure that if we felt the lyric was cool and it wasn't like we put some candy around it. Nowadays they don't do harmony. They don't even stack vocals no more. So it's different.
That's crazy because I still stack. But the other thing too, look at it from this standpoint as well. You want to look at it from an emotional standpoint too. Again, like think about one of your favorite records that you like to listen to or that you heard. What were you going through when you heard it? How did it make you feel? That's the ideal of when you're doing a record. You want to grab a human emotion. You want to provoke a human emotion. You know what I'm saying? So when you add ear candy and harmonies and stuff like that, that's to really pull at your heartstrings. You know what I'm saying? Like I hear a lot of people whenever I'm on tour with Mary, they say, I was going through this when I heard the My Life album. You know what I'm saying? And it was so much intricate detail and thought that went into that record. Every song, like they took their time and crafted each song to pull at your heartstrings. Even, let me see, Jasmine Sullivan.
Yep.
Well, I'm trying to remember the album before Hotels. I'm trying to remember the name of that song, that Mascara song. Man, I'll never forget where I was when I heard that song. Just like the lyrical content was amazing. The chord progressions on the record was amazing. And I heard them perform that song at Essence, because we did Essence with Mary. And it sounded exactly like the record. And I was like, yeah, these cats get it. That's what it's about. Like when you writing a song, when you putting a song together, the goal is to pull at a person's emotions when you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? That's the objective.
That makes sense. Now, and all of us have songs like that, right? Like a song, I remember when I was in college. I had just went to college at FAMU, and I just got there, and some friends of mine were going out. So I said, let me go out with y'all. School school hadn't even started yet. And on our way out to go to the club where we was going, we heard on the radio that they played it. They broke in, breaking news. Plane has crashed, blah, 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 blah. Aaliyah was on the plane.
Yes, sir.
Like, I remember where I was at. I could see what I had on and everything. And then right after they did that, they played Rock the Boat because she went
shot
to shoot
the
the
video
and the plane crashed when they were finishing shooting the video. So obviously that was the last video. But I remember everything. So anytime I hear Rock the Boat, I remember me, 19, going in college, 18 years old, going to college. So now, mind you, that wasn't the writer's intent. The writer's intent to provoke emotion, but the event that occurred when I heard that song, it just stuck with me. You know what I'm saying? It's just certain songs that'll stick with you. So you want to make sure that you are a part of those moments in people's lives. Not saying the bad ones, but every part, whatever, good or bad. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So I think that's extremely important that you brought up the invoking of emotions.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like David Foster, a great producer. You know who David
Of
Foster
course,
is.
I know David Foster.
If you know who Earth, Wind, and Fire is, David Foster was the guy that wrote After the Love Is Gone. That's him on piano. Like, that dude provoked emotion, like, for real. Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Crazy, right? He
Yes.
wrote After the Love Is Gone.
Right.
Like, that's one of my favorite producers. Like, that cat knew exactly. He had the cheat code for real. Like, seriously.
That makes sense. And then there's another. She said, I heard somebody say, the white dude. Have y'all heard his name before? Rod Temperton? Y'all heard that before? This is a white dude from London.
He was in a band called Heatwave. And he was one of the main producers on the Thriller album.
Yes. Like, he was one of the main ones for that. And let's, since we at production, let's talk. My favorite producer in the whole world, Quincy Jones. Yeah, of course. So Quincy Jones, to me, is one of the greatest producers. Ask me how many songs he played on the Michael Jackson album. 0. He didn't play one instrument on that whole album.
But he knew how to put the people together. He knew how to put the pieces together. He had hitmen, for real.
His production would be like this. He would get on his phone and say, hey, Shonn, what you got going on? I need you to come to the studio. Okay, so I got the coldest guitar player. Hey, Wesley McVicker, what you got going on? I got the coldest drummer. Hey, Afton Johnson, what you got going on? I got the coldest bass player. So he'd get on the phone and call all the cold people. Then he'd be like, hey, Clayton, what you doing? I need you to come write some hooks. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Lachey, what you doing? I need you to come write and sing some backgrounds. Like, that's what Quincy Jones would do. And then you got all this great all-star talent in one facility. Shay and Clayton over there writing. Shonn and them over there producing. And then we swapping back and forth what's going on. Because people think producing is making the beat. There's a difference between a beat maker and a producer. Talk to me about that.
Producer oversees the entire project. That's what a producer does. Don't get it twisted. I used to call myself a producer before I was a producer because I was a beat maker, and that's what that name was so loosely thrown around.
Yes.
But taking out the time to really learn what it was, Warren Campbell. I learned that from Warren Campbell.
Facts.
A producer oversees the entire record. He's looking at everything: the vocal arrangement, the lyrical content, the musicianship, all of that, even down to mixing and mastering.
Facts.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's how I used to produce. I would never try to touch nothing. I got all the coldest cats in the world. Like, I can't remember what song it was, but we did something and we had to put a guitar on it. So I called Shonn. I knew what I wanted to play on the guitar, but I can't play the guitar. So I said, bro, what you doing? Can you come by the lab? I come by in a couple hours. He come by. I would literally sing to him what I want.
And I would nail it.
And he would do it better than I could sing it, obviously, because that's what he do. You know what I'm saying? That's what he does. So I sing, I want this, and then on this part I want to go whatever. I'll give a little part, and he would say, well, it'll sound better if you did it this way. Okay, cool. That's why I got you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what producing. That's how we produced records back in the. Because everybody around me, I was smart. I was the dumbest person in the room, but the smartest at the same time. Because what I did was I went and got a bunch of people that was way better than me. I could never sing better than Shay. If I was tried, I couldn't. Which means I couldn't come up with better melodies than her. But I know how to structure it though, so it wouldn't be too much so that the average person can get it. You see what I'm saying?
You had to. You was Quincy Jones before you knew what Quincy Jones did.
Right. Yeah. So I would just get the best of what whoever it would be, and I would just say, you need to feel like this, or I need to do it like this. Yeah, I write some lyrics and stuff too, but why would I do the parts that somebody else was better than me at? Ain't no ego when we're trying to make a hit record. I remember us writing and doing a song, acapella, Something's Missing for Brandy, right?
Yeah, dude, yes. I was just about to talk about that.
I remember vividly, Shay was like the Steph Curry shoot from half court.
Shout out to Shay.
No faster than we could figure out what the melody was. She would have the lyric like that. I'd be like, what is going on? Like, it was like ridiculous. And she like, I got the first verse. We'd be like, all right, let's hear it. She's singing. I'm like, damn. We literally 5 minutes into the song, but you got to know who got the hot hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the key, knowing who should have the ball at the right time. I'm using, obviously,
because at the end of the day, everybody wins. Everybody on the team wins.
Facts. And that's I really, and I'm actually glad you brought your guitar to kind of give examples of what we're talking about, because a lot of time you have a conversation, but there is no demonstration to the conversation. So you're missing a piece. You can visualize it, but it's nothing like seeing it face to face. So even you as an artist, or you as a writer, or you as a producer, you can say, you can literally take the things that he was talking about, the specials, the this and the that's, and apply it to what you do in the studio yourself. And you can pick out those parts. Let's say if you're writing and a producer, you can pick out where these things need to be in the song to help elevate the record. Because now you went from being a writer to a co-producer. Now you're sharing in the production. You see what I'm saying? Now when it's time for that song to get placed, you get points and everything like the producer's getting. And another thing, if you're writing the song and you're coming up with the arrangement, and you produce the vocal producing, you're a producer. When I would vocal produce, I would get paid as a producer because I was vocal producing. So a lot of times we didn't know this back in the day, but I could name you some vocal producers that made a lot. Kook Harrell made a lot of money just vocal producing songs. Dream would write it, Tricky would produce it. He would cut the vocals with the artist and vocal produce the song. He would get published in like he wrote the song too. Because his part was just, if you have a terrible vocal producer on your song, it's over with for your song. It's a wrap. So these elements are extremely important, and I want to make sure we touched on them because a lot of times people, our Milwaukee producers and songwriters don't know the elements and the things that are revenue based for you. Like there are so many streams of revenue in writing music and producing music. But if you don't know what those revenue streams are, you'll overlook them. And nobody's going to tell you because who wants to spend extra money or who want to give away extra publishing? You understand what I'm saying? So it's extremely important that you kind of like take these things in. You know what I mean?
Knowledge is power for real. Like knowing that it changes the game for you. Like it really opens up a door for you to have that knowledge. And I learned earlier on in my career from our tour manager, Huggy, who's now the tour manager for Usher right now. There's no such thing as a dumb question. He said, really, like, truthfully, a dumb question is a question that you don't ask. So ask. Even if it means you being anal, to them, it's like the goal is to get as much understanding as you possibly can. So nothing gets weird with a song or with a tour. You know, you don't want anything to get weird. There needs to be clarification at all times.
That's a fact, and I seen Huggy too when we went out there.
Yeah.
Now that you are in this element of as an artist, producer, writer, but then on the MD side element, how has that changed? That dynamic changed the way you approach writing and producing now?
Because I get the opportunity to live inside the head of the artist. I'll give you an example. So we just did a private show in Santa Barbara, California, Wednesday with Mary, and Nas was doing a song with us. We did Love Is All We Need. So for sound check, we ran the stuff with Mary, and then Nas came, and I got a chance to really sit down with Nas and kind of walk him through. But then as I was walking him through where we come in at, because we had to shorten the song, he was sharing with me what he wanted in Pro Tools,
what parts of the song
exactly,
of his that he wanted in Pro Tools.
Exactly. So I got a chance to live in his head in that sense, which then made me think about like, okay, man, so when I'm in the studio and I'm cutting a record, let me take that same process and apply it to a song that I'm doing, which I did. I did a record today, and I remember what Nas was telling me, just certain things, like example for like ear candy for BGVs, right? The ad
BGVs,
background vocals. I'm sorry.
Right, yeah.
So I took what Nas taught me as far as like ad libs and things like that, and I added it to what I was doing to a record I did. So
yeah,
that worked out perfect. So I'm glad you asked that question.
Yeah, that's extremely important. And who gets to sit and talk to Nas? Like, me and Nas was sitting. I guess you know what I'm saying, talking to the legends out here. So, what I'm gonna do at this point, I see a lot of people, and y'all might have some questions, because I can't ask all the questions. That's why we got y'all here. So there's a mic right there. Y'all see that? Hey, bro, can you grab that mic from me right there? Thank you so much, brother. Say something. Test it. Okay, we up. So listen, if you got a question, grab that stand, the mic stand, and just put it over there to the side for me. Yeah. And if anybody, thank you so much, bro. I appreciate it. He don't work here, y'all. He just helping out. He's showing love. So y'all
Absolutely
know.
dope.
If y'all got a question, come over to the side and ask, let me know if you got a question, bro. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. What's your name, family? Nice to meet you, bro.
Pleasure.
I'm Chad, my brother. Pleasure to meet you. Yes, sir.
And I'm Shonn. Thank you. During that downtime? Okay. You want to
So
take your...
first, the first question was the engineers. Well, I got in the game as an engineer. So I'm going to always say take care of the engineer, me. Because a lot of times when you're the engineer, you're more than just the engineer. Because you vocal producing the person. If it's just you and the person in the booth, you vocal producing whether they rapping or singing. You tell them if they flat, I need to do it again. So you went from being an engineer to a vocal producer. So I always say, take care of people that's in the room doing the work. I'm gonna give you an example. I was quote unquote just the engineer on this song that Rihanna song called Skin. I did not write one lyric on that song. I did every arrangement in that song, but I was the engineer. But the song before I started arranging it wasn't hitting the same. Ursula wrote a good song, but the arrangement wasn't it. So Sounds said to me, yo, C-No, can you vocal produce it? We're going to give you some publishing and make sure you're straight. So I literally just turned from engineer. You want to do that again? What you want to do next? To, hold on. Let's do, you know what I'm saying? Like, I started telling her what to do and where to put this and that. And then I say, Sounds, I think we need this. So then Sounds called a guitar player. Hey, let's put whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I went from literally being a engineer to much more of the song. But Sounds is like family to me, so he like, man, I'm gonna make sure you straight. You know what I'm saying? So I think if the engineer just there doing engineering, just pay him his hourly rate. But if the engineer, he or she, is are doing more than just sitting there, man, take care of them people, man, because when that record blows up, the gratitude is, and anytime you need them, I'm gonna tell this one story. I always have a saying. I say, treat the janitor like he or she is the CEO because they just might be one day. So we're in a studio in LA called Westlake Studios. Everybody, that was Michael Jackson's favorite studio. So we're at Westlake Studios, and we're working. I was working with Rico, and we were working with Jamie Foxx. And there was an intern there. His name was Antonio. But us making jokes, we called him the Mexican Michael Jackson. That's what we called him. That was like his thing, like our joke. Everybody had like different names. We working with Jamie Foxx, so you can imagine how funny it is. And this was Antonio's first gig as an intern, was working with us. But our rule was everybody in the room had to have our energy. You know what I'm saying? So it was me, Rico, Jamie, DJ Toon was the producer. So we were in there having a good time, going to eat, having a great... Now, Antonio's job was to make sure we had everything we need and to make sure if I needed something as the engineer, everything was taken care of because he knew the room. But we treated him just like he was a part of our team. And this was his first gig. So he thought everything after that was going to be like how it was working with us. If we went to go to dinner, he went with us. We took him with us. Whatever we did, we went to a party or something, we took him with us because he a part of the team. And everybody had to have the same energy to be successful. That was our thought process. So fast forward, I told y'all about the Rihanna thing. Well, we did the Rihanna writing camp at Westlake Studios. So we get there, and I'm sitting in the lobby waiting. Antonio walked past. I'm like, dog, what's up? This is like 7 years later, 6 years later. What's up with you? How you doing? He said, bro, I just seen Rico 2 weeks ago. He told me you was doing good, blah, 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 blah. He said, man, I want to tell you something like I told him. I want to thank you so much for treating me like I was part of your team back then. Now, I forgot all about this. I just knew who he was because we had so much fun, but I forgot. He was like, bro, that was a make or break week for me. I didn't know if I really wanted to do this music thing, but after working with y'all, I knew this was something I wanted to do. Now, mind you, he was the intern. Remember I told you that, right? He runs all 3 of the studios. Now, he said, if you ever need a room and you in LA, hit me up. If I got an open room, you got it no charge. That only occurs because we treated the janitor like he or she was the CEO, because he eventually became one. Well, I don't know what he's doing now. He's probably running a label or something. But he ended up running all 3 of the. It's 3 Westlakes. He ran all of them. So you got to make sure you lock that in with you, because you never know what people are going to be. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Second question, Shonn.
Second question. So my downtime when I was sitting at home after that tour is over, let me give you a brief synopsis of the hardships I endured on my downtime. I was playing with Dave Hollister, and that downtime, my electricity was off in my house. I didn't know where my next meal was coming from. I was married with a brand new baby, so I had to figure it out. I really did, but I didn't let it discourage me. What I did was just realign and readjust my thinking. I studied more as a musician. Like, I wanted to learn another instrument, so I went to the music store and I went and bought a banjo. I bought a banjo and I sat in that house and I taught myself how to play the banjo. So if there was ever a time there was a record that needed banjo, I was like, I'm gonna be ready for this. Because that was one of the things that I learned while I was out on tour. Just, know how to do as much as you possibly can. And this is why I know how to play the bass. This is why I know how to play the guitar and the drums and keyboard and things like that, because I use my downtime wisely. I really did, man. And when the opportunity came for me to do the Mary thing, we did a song called Take Me As I Am. Well, had I not learned how to play the sitar, not Take Me As I Am, Everything. You are everything. That's a sample from the I think it's either the Dramatics or the Stylistics, but it's a sitar. I learned how to play the sitar, and I learned how to play that part. And a lot of times I didn't play it live, but I would record it and we were rehearsing for tour. So it was just, well, let's put this in the box so I can still play my guitar while the sitar piece is going. So my downtime I spent licking my chops, just learning the other aspects of the music business from touring, as well as learning more instruments. So, yeah.
Great questions too, by the way. We got any more? Any more questions? Yeah, go ahead, brother. Tell us your name, my good brother. He who I was talking about earlier, y'all. You too, brother.
Pleasure, man. For me, it was Jill Scott. Jill Scott, hands down. And it's crazy because I've, working with Mary, working with Wayne, working with Jay, working with John, my most personal and influential artist that I've worked with has been Jill Scott, because she'll still call me to this day. You know what I'm saying? I had a moment in my life where I was ready to give up playing music, because the industry is so fickle, you know what I'm saying? And it's not for the faint of heart. And like, I was really dealing with some stuff, and Jill called. And when I say this lady labored with me, like, she talked me off the ledge. That meant a lot, you know what I'm saying? Which made it easy for her to call me and say, hey, Shonn, I want you to come to Nashville and I want you to work on this album with me. I want you to be I think the album was called Woman. I think that's what it was. And it wasn't Nashville, it was LA. And I played on like 3 songs on that album. And it was, and it was nothing. And she did me right. She didn't do me wrong. I got points on it. You know what I'm saying? And so that was the most influential artist. And it changed my way of thinking, because, how I look at artists. Because when I first started playing for Mary, they don't really hang out with the musicians. They don't hang out with the band. They chilling, I heard my, God rest his dead, my boy Cornell Thigpen told me when I first started playing with Mary, he's like, don't get chummy with these artists. He said, because when the tour is over, they're going to go home to their $1 million mansion, and you're going to go to your $1,000 a month apartment. So just be careful. And that was the stance that I had. So Jill came and showed me something completely different. And it has forever shaken the core of who I am. So now I'm not afraid of any artist that I work with. You know what I'm saying? Like, you may make more money than me, but at the end of the day, you're a human being just like me. So, like you said, they say treat the janitor like the CEO. I treat the CEO just like you would be my brother or my sister. You know what I'm saying? I still got respect, but at the end of the day, I know what it is. Like, you're a human being. And thank God, none of the artists that I've worked with have left negative impacts on me. None whatsoever.
Me, I'm going to be honest, it's not an artist really for me. It was the actual people that I worked with. And all of those people, majority of them were from Milwaukee. And so I named Lachey Martin, Jermaine Rideout. These are people that you can walk, that you know. Shonn is one of them. A writer, Milton Adams. Prep. Prep works with OVO now. But he was like an engineer that used to sit up under. Now he works with Party Next Door and Drake. But he's from Milwaukee though. Andre, business boy. So these are everybody that I named work with me, or I work with them in some form or fashion, acting as manager, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Those people to me were more important than any other artists I worked with, because what they did was they got me prepared. They were shooting in the gym with me when I was learning how to become a professional. So to me, those, because some of the sessions we had, and some of them, I'm talking about, we would have 200-300 songs in a year, and some of the songs wouldn't even get placed. But the experiences we had in the studio working together is long lasting, because I knew Big Sound was like my idea. They just was like, you want to do it, let's rock. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that they would trust me enough to even come rock all them years, and all of us right now to this day, if one call the other, and I ain't got to be involved, Shay can call Shonn, and they going to do something. And then, you know what I'm saying, I could call Shay or whoever. So to this day, that was more impressionable than anything, because once I got in the actual game, I was ready. Because I done recorded 300 songs with Shay, so when it was time to work with a female artist, well, I worked with one. She just wasn't like Mary J. Blige or nothing at the time, but she sang just as good as whoever else I worked with. So much so, she would sing so good on the song, we couldn't even place the record, because she sung too good. Because now the record company, so demo-itis out, they want the artists we work with to sound like her. Like, well, it's impossible. What you want me to do? You know what I'm saying? So we remember one time Rico was like, bro, dude, cut this record, but tell Shay don't go so hard. I'm like, bro, she don't know nothing else. You know what I'm saying? we wouldn't get placed because she was killing the songs. You know what I mean? Like, and to me, that's a great problem to have. I take that over somebody sucking and stinking the song up. You know what I'm saying? So to me, those are the artists that were the most influential, is the people that I work with, because I learned so much, even on the business side. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember somebody wanted to sign us. We're not going to say no name. Wanted to sign us as a collective, and it was like 5 of us. And they offered us $60,000. I'm like, dog, I made $60,000 in 3 months. What you talking about? You know what I'm saying? $60,000, but you won't have all of our publishing. Like, take it
easy. Good night.
Right, we cool. Thank you though. But you can go and place this record, and they still found a way to sneak on the record we placed on the artist by changing it to it is. The to the. Like, dog, you ain't do nothing, fam. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy. You know, but to me, those are my you know what I'm saying? Any more questions? Yes, sir. Tell us your name, man.
That jacket is cold, by
Yes,
the way.
sir. Yes, sir, Doc. Okay. Word. Okay, so you or me. Me and you are the same type of person. Because that's what I wasn't the most talented of everybody in the crew, but I was the coldest at hustling and networking. That was my gift. So basically you are, like me and you are the same type of person. So what I always, and I'm naturally a teacher. So what I always would teach everybody that I was working with if we did it once, we could do it again. And we gotta be in these people's faces. Because at the time, the only social media that existed was Facebook. So it wasn't like how Instagram is and all this social, like we were doing, me, Shay, and TC used to do studio sessions and record it on my MacBook Pro. Like just had the computer in the room. We didn't have cameramen or nothing like that, how it is now. So we would do that before that was a big thing to do. So what I would do was I would always say, we got to go sit in these people's faces. Because back in the day, you could email records to A&Rs, right? But if you sitting in the A&R office, they got to listen to the record. They may not even check your email. You see what I'm saying? So we would literally, me and whoever wanted to roll, and Shonn used to be on tour or in rehearsal. So we had a New York run to do. We would find out when Shonn was going to rehearse
And
with
they
Mary.
would all post up in my room.
It'd be 19 people in a hotel. Y'all know how small the hotel rooms are
In
LA?
New York?
New York, I mean, it's ridiculously small. But it'd be, I remember one time, me, you, and Milton was in there. Me and Milton sleeping on each sides of the floor. You know what I'm saying? But we took meetings that whole week.
Exactly.
But we had somewhere to stay. All we had to do was fly there. Shonn had the room covered. And then they started rehearsing at Center Stage in L.A. We'd fly out to L.A. and do the run again.
Yep.
We just sleep in Shonn, the Courtyard Marriott.
I would leave the key in Chad name
Yeah.
at the front desk.
At the front desk. Like, so that was the thing, was making sure we were in person. Because ain't nothing like a handshake. You can feel a person vibe. Like, y'all here, shout out to people that's watching us on Facebook Live, too. But people here, you got a different experience because there's some things that, it's some vibes you can't feel. Like, it feel good in here to me. I don't know how many people in here, but it feel good in here to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a vibe you can't, so people can feel your aura and just your approach with whether it's an A&R. I can't remember the executive's name, right? But me and Shay was in New York. We was in the Sony building. It was, I cannot remember this gentleman's name, but he was a big exec. And he saw Shay's name as like we were taking meetings. Dude took the meeting with us because Lachey's name is spelled like milk in Spanish. You know what I'm saying? So leche, that's how it's spelled. So we get in there, and I'm like, what's up? I'm Chad, this is Lachey. He like, Lachey? He like, that say leche to me, that say milk. Like, but that right there was the icebreaker. Because that man listened to about 10 records of ours because of her name, though. So you can't get that on the email. It was us being in person. And then obviously we're people, we like people and people like us. So it made that, you know what I'm saying? And I kept his information and kept sending them records after the fact. You know what I'm saying? So things like that is nothing beats being in person. Do not think it could be done cyber all the time or internet-wise all the time. It's nothing like shaking somebody's hand, looking somebody in the eye and having